If you think picking blueberry is a safe job, well, it's relatively safe in a way, but we are in the wild, we're in the nature. The most dangerous thing about this farm are the plants. Let me show you what I mean. There are three main plants in this field that can potentially kill you. I'm bringing you guys back to the blueberry farm today because the blueberry picking season is officially over. I finished it 2 days ago, but I want to show you what the blueberry farm looks like at the moment. As you can see, there are still tons of blueberries on the trees. Tons of them, like lots and lots of them. And you might be wondering, how is it possible that the blueberry picking season is over when there's still tons of blueberries on the tree? Well, here is the thing. When the blueberry turned blue, when they were ready to be picked, there was a heat wave. And what happened is, when the temperature gets really hot, it actually dehydrates the blueberries. And then what happened to the blueberry is that they become a bit wrinkled because it's a bit dehydrated. So here's the problem with how we look at food nowadays. Because the blueberries were wrinkled, not that there's anything wrong with them, the exporters don't accept them and the customers don't want to buy them. So now what happened, we ended up with, is there are still tons of blueberry still on the trees and nobody wants them. Currently, I think there's about 70% of the blueberries on the trees are wrinkled. The other 30% is still perfectly fine. As you can see, there's no wrinkle on them. They're perfectly fine to eat. But to pick them takes time. So every 10 blueberry we pick, we're actually throwing away 7 of them. So in a way, you need to balance the time it takes to pick, and then obviously the cost to pick them, and then balance it with the profit you're making. And because it's taking so much time to pick them, and it's not worth picking them anymore, and so that's why we stopped picking them, and the blueberry picking season has finished, even though there is so many. Like I can't even tell you how many fruits, how much fruit are still on these trees. Like there must be tons and tons. And because we are trained by supermarket to think that a wrinkled blueberry is not good, just as like a good example of similar thing is like when some people think that when banana turns black, it's not good to eat. We have to throw it away. So like wrinkled blueberry is not good. Just because it's wrinkled, there's nothing wrong with them. It's still totally edible. And in fact, when the blueberries become wrinkled, they are a little bit dehydrated. That means they got less water in it, but it's got higher sugar content. So these blueberries are perfectly fine for making jam, and they're actually better for making jams. However, nobody wants them because they're wrinkled. Simply as that. I don't know if you can see whether we focus on this. Let me see. Can you see the wrinkles on them? Focus. So they're wrinkly, that's all there is. And they're actually sweeter than normal blueberries. And it is really frustrating to see, especially for somebody like me who absolutely hates food being wasted. And we have so much blueberry here. We kind of live in a time where there is abundance of food and yet there is poverty going on. And we can see just because our attitude towards food has been corrupted, has been make us think like it's just I don't know how to explain it, but it's just so frustrated to see that there's so many food here and nobody wants them. I mean, even today I came here because, you know, my friend decided that he doesn't want to waste all this food or all these blueberries. So he's offered us to come, well, offer me and all the pickers and all their family to come and pick them and take as many as they want. And yet, you know what? Nobody turn up. Nobody wants to pick them. If you offer them a box of blueberry that's already picked, they would take it. But if you tell them to come and pick it, they won't. And it's just so frustrating to see. And so, yeah, we're just going to have to let all these blueberry drop off. Or, I mean, the birds are eating them, but they're not eating all of them, obviously. There are just so many blueberry here. If you are buying blueberries from like a blueberry farm, it will be extremely helpful to them if you're asking for the Wrinkle blueberries, because especially if you're going to make jam with blueberries, you don't really want to use like a perfectly smooth one. You just want to use the Wrinkle ones because they make better jam anyway. So yeah, this is the tip. If you want cheaper blueberry for making jam, and if you know the guy who is selling blueberry, not like a reseller like a supermarket or you know, somebody who actually owns a blueberry farm, yeah, ask them for the rejected blueberries or the Wrinkle blueberries. You know, I'm sure they will appreciate it if you take those ones too. And they are usually cheaper too because nobody want them. So that's the tip for you if you want to get cheaper blueberry. So last year we finished the blueberry picking season on around the 6th of August. And the only reason we finished the picking last year is because there was absolutely nothing on the trees to pick. Hence we finished picking. But this year, you know, this farm is still relatively new. So these plants are, I think they're about 4 years old. So last year they were all kind of like really high up, and there weren't as many blueberry as this year. But this year with the heat at the beginning of this year and the abundance of rain, and it basically is causing a bloom with blueberry. If you watch my earlier videos about blueberry, I was telling you that there are 3 main type of blueberry in this farm: Duke, Legacy, and Cargo. And usually they ripen at different time, one after the other. But this year, because of the heat, the early heat, they kind of all ripen at the same time. Hence, there's this problem of an abundance of fruits. Also, we didn't have a lot of pickers this year, which is also one of the main factors. But even then, if we have like 20-30 picker this year, there is just no way. There is so much fruit this year. It's just crazy. Anyway, what was my point? Yeah, so last year we stopped picking because there was not much fruit to pick. So this year there's so much fruit, and I would expect, because now these plants are matured, I would expect next year we will have the same problem. Hopefully next year we'll have more people. If you think picking blueberry is a safe job, well, it's relatively safe in a way, but we are in the wild, we're in the nature, so you know, often we see snakes, and sometimes there are wild boars around which are dangerous. But the most dangerous thing about this farm are the plants. Let me show you what I mean. There are 3 main plants in this field that can potentially kill you. Right, so among all these blueberry plants here, this plant here, this is a black nightshade plant, and they produce these tiny green berries. Well, I have found another black nightshade berry to show you, to see what it looks like once it's ripened. As you can see, these little tiny blackberries. So they can be mistaken as blueberry if you mix them, but obviously they're pretty small, like a lot smaller. So black nightshade berry is very similar to its cousin, the deadly nightshade berry. So I would not suggest you, if you don't know the plant for sure, I would not suggest you eating them, because black nightshade berry, it's edible when it's ripened, when it's black, totally black. When it's ripened, it is edible. However, the deadly nightshade berries are not. It's super toxic. But if you don't know the berries, I would not suggest you, gambling eating it. However, with the black nightshade berry, the green berries are toxic. They have the same chemical as green potatoes. So if you accidentally consume them, or you eat too many of them, basically what happens is you will start to get like stomachache, stomach cramps, and you might feel nauseous, or you start to vomit, or you have diarrhea, and you will have headache and dizziness. And if you consume a large amount of these green little berries, you will feel confused and disorientated, and your heart rate will start to slow down, your blood pressure will get lower, you will feel difficulty breathing, and eventually, if you don't call for any help, these berries can kill you. That is black nightshade berry that is dangerous to us. Now I'm going to show you a different plant that's also dangerous to us. So behind me is the second plant that can potentially kill us. It is a dragonberry, or also known as the American pokeweed. Okay, so this is actually a very magnificent dragonberry plant. It is probably one of the biggest one I've seen on this farm, mainly because it's growing in between the blueberry plants and it's getting all the nutritional water, and it is magnificent. I've always liked the structure of this plant. I think it's very, very pretty, but you can see it produces a chain of berries like this, and when it's ripened they start to turn black, as you can see, and it will grow to a significant size, pretty much similar to the size of a blackberry. Let me pick a blueberry to show you why it's so dangerous, right? So usually to identify blueberry, you can see a blueberry, the base of blueberry has got like a flower shape. And if you look at dragonberries, they also have a, hold on, it is focus. They also have a similar base. So if you can imagine, you put them next to each other, they can be confusing. Now dragonberry is different. You can identify them by the way it grows. Obviously the tree is completely, it looks completely different to the blueberry plants, but the berry is very similar. And dragonberry grows in a chain like this, kind of similar to blueberry, but it is pretty easy to identify because dragonberry grows in a red stem, whereas blueberry grows in a kind of a woody green stem. That's how easy how to tell between them. So I'm just walking to a different section of the farm to show you other dragonberry plant, because the one I showed you before, the area is a bit dark so you can't see properly. So now I'm in a different section of the blueberry farm, and as soon as here I can spot quite a few dragonberries. There is one here, there's one right in front of us here, there's one there, there's one at the back, there's one at the left. So there are quite a few dragonberries here. So you can see much better. Although there's no berry yet, no ripe berry yet, but you can see the green berries. And there are flowers here. So, oh, there actually, I see there's a big dragonberries over there. Right, so here is a good sized dragonberry plant. So eating these dragonberries will cause you stomach pain, internal bleeding. It will drop your blood pressure, and eventually you will die from eating them. And yeah, I will definitely not recommend anybody eating them. One of the problem with dragonberry, especially when it's in the middle of the field mixing with the blackberry, especially with modern day, when farmers use machinery to shake the blueberries. That's how they harvest blueberries nowadays. And if you can imagine, if you have a dragonberry plant in between them and the berries are mixed with the blueberries, because when dragonberries ripen, it looks very similar to blueberry. So once the dragonberries are mixed with the blueberries, it is actually quite hard to identify which one is what. So, but here in this farm, we handpick every single blueberry, so there's no mistaking of mixing dragonberries with blueberries. And just to quickly show you that underneath the dragonberries are all these blackberries ready to be picked. Sometime this week I will be coming back to pick some blackberries. Anyway, so that was the second plant that can potentially kill us, and that was the dragonberry plant. And now the final plant that I want to show you, and also is one of the most dangerous plant on this field here. Okay, I just found one. Does anyone know what this is? This is a Jimsonweed, and this is a very dangerous plant. Okay, this plant is quite easy to identify because of the spiky pods, and it produces beautiful white flowers. And the first thing, if you ever walk across or brush against a plant like this, even if you don't know about this plant, if you brush against this plant, it produces this really nutty smell. And apparently the professional says that it smells like a stale peanut butter, but I know it smells like nutty because I have brushed against it quite a few times. If I can avoid going near a plant like this, I will try not to touch it. So this plant is extremely toxic to us because it is, if you have the saps, or if you accidentally sit on one of these spiky fruits, it's got seeds inside, it will basically inject toxin into your body. And this plant is actually a delirium. So the difference between a delirium and a psychedelic is that if you like a psychedelic, like a magic mushrooms, usually the person who take a magic mushroom, they will still aware of the surrounding. They know what's real and what is not, even though they can see like different colors and different things. But with this plant, as is a delirium, basically what happened is that when people accidentally contact with the toxic substance of this plant, they will have hallucinations, and what happens is that they will not be able to tell what is real and what is not. And that's the difference between a delirium and a psychedelic. And the most common way that people get poisoned by this plant, it's they will accidentally kind of crush the leaves, and then they get saps in the hand, and then if they touch their eyes or their face or they put it in your mouth, that's how they get poisoned by this plant. And like I said before, because of spiky fruits, if you accidentally step on it or sit on it, and that's how you get poisoned by this plant. But yeah, out of the three, the most dangerous plant that we have on the farm, and there are quite a lot of them because each seed pod can produce hundreds of seeds when it opens. At the moment it's not ripe yet and it's not dry, and normally we'll try to kill the plant before the seed comes out. If I move across, you can see there's another one here, and I know on this side of the farm there are quite a lot of them. In a few weeks time, when we start weeding the fields, which we do it by hand, I come across quite a lot of them. And obviously when I do weeding, I always wear gloves. It's just for my safety, to protect my own skin, because I know of these toxic plants. So if you ever think picking blueberry, it is safe. Like I said, it's relatively safe, but it can also potentially kill us. Anyway, so I hope I've told you something interesting in this video today, and that you've learned something from what I said. So remember, if you want to get cheaper blueberries, ask your blueberry farmer guy, ask them for some Wrinkle blueberries or rejected blueberries if you're planning to make blueberry jams, because you know they are much cheaper blueberries and they will taste better because the sugar content is a lot higher. And also remember the three dangerous plants that can harm us. That is the black nightshade berries, the Jimsonweed, and the dragonberries. Anyway, so yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy my videos and you learn something from it. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to pick some blueberries for myself, and thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.